We've been misled to believe that being quiet is a show of strength, that by withdrawing and staying silent, we'll make them miss us and realize what they've lost. Do you think they're sitting there, troubled and regretful, wondering where you went? They're not. They understand your silence, and when someone understands your quiet, it loses its effect. It's not a mystery. It's expected. It's exactly what they thought you would do. Your silence isn't puzzling them. It's confirming their thoughts. They aren't left guessing about what happened. They already know. They've been through this before. You may think you're playing a clever game like chess, but they already know every move you will make. Silence is only effective when it has a real reason behind it. When you stay silent because you're hurt, scared, or hoping they'll notice you, that's not strength. That's harmful. It quietly destroys you inside while they go on living without being affected. But here's the harsh reality you might not want to accept. They don't care about your silence. They only care that you still care enough to be part of this game. You think you're hurting them, but you're just hurting yourself. They're not puzzled. They're at ease. They've seen this play out many times before. They know just how long you'll remain quiet before you give in, and believe me, they're waiting. What if this time you didn't give in? Imagine if instead of staying quiet, you shared something they couldn't overlook, your honest feelings. It's not about getting upset or making a scene, but about plainly stating you don't care anymore. When you reveal that they no longer affect you, silence may seem weak, but honesty stands strong. Owning your reality means you're not playing by their rules anymore. You become a wild card. They can't sway something they can't predict. And you might be wondering, what if they try to come back once I'm honest? That's fine. Let them try, because by then you'll be a person they can't fool. They might try their old tricks and lies, but you'll see right through them. They'll be lost when you move from silence to sincerity. So, don't wait around hoping they'll notice you. Don't stay stuck in their twisted tale. Stop placing them at the center of a world they left behind. Say it loud. I will live my truth. Type it down below. Proclaim it. Claim it. Let them puzzle over how the person they thought they controlled stood up for themselves. And while you're here, hit that like button and subscribe. Stick with me, because what comes next will truly open your eyes like never before. Number 1. Your quietness gives them power. Ever pictured a king on his grand throne, high and mighty, out of reach? A throne isn't just any seat. It represents authority and control. The harsh reality is this: when you choose to stay silent, you are the one putting them up on that throne. Each moment you remain silent, every time you hold back, and every thought like, "This will make them miss me," just elevates their throne even more. They dominate your thoughts, your feelings, your entire existence. And you're caught up in your own mind, playing make-believe conversations where you come out on top, where they finally see your value, all while they sit above, unconcerned. You might think being silent is a form of punishment for them, but it's actually a victory. They get exactly what they want: your focus, your obsession, your pain. And here's what really hurts. They expected you to be silent. They counted on it. They've seen others react the same way before. To them, your silence is just another predictable move in their game. You believe your silence sends a message, but they've already read it loud and clear. It tells them you're still stuck on them, still waiting, still hoping. They know you haven't moved on. If you had, you wouldn't be silent. You'd have left. Your silence builds them a kingdom of unsaid words, a fortress of your doubts. Every moment you spend wondering if they'll notice your silence, they win. They're well aware they still occupy your thoughts for free while you pay the emotional cost every day. You've fooled yourself into thinking your silence is intriguing, that it makes them feel your absence. But in truth, they feel nothing. They're comfortably seated on the throne you constructed, content, arrogant, unreachable. They're not tossing and turning over you. They're not pondering why you're quiet. They know. They know you're still hoping they'll call, still lurking in the shadows, still waiting for a moment of remorse that will never arrive. You're caught in a game that's stacked against you. They reign while you suffer. They've transformed your silence into their strength because silence only affects someone who cares. And let's face it, they don't. If they cared, you wouldn't be in this predicament. People who care don't leave you in silence, wondering. Those who appreciate you don't ignore your absence. Yet, here you are, still hoping. Maybe they'll notice, maybe they'll miss me, maybe they'll return. They won't. Your silence is their comfort. It's like free air for them. You're giving them room to breathe while you choke on all the words you wish you could say. The longer you remain quiet, the loftier their throne becomes. They sit there, unaffected by your anguish, watching you sink further into your thoughts. And the worst part? They're aware. They know you're still hanging on. They understand that your quiet won't last forever. They expect you to give in, because you always have. They've watched you crumble before. They anticipate that you'll reach out, that you'll explain your actions, that you'll return. They've watched this scenario unfold countless times. They've orchestrated it. But what if you surprised them? What if you stopped using silence as a tool and began using your honesty as your closing statement? What if, instead of keeping silent, you vanished for good? Not as a strategy, but as a conscious decision. No more pretending in your head. No more waiting. No more silence. Let them interpret your absence not because you're playing games, but because you've finally woken up, because you've dismantled their seat of power and left them with nowhere to rule. There's a saying by R.H. Sin, "They never loved you. They loved that you kept coming back." Think about that. They don't deserve your silence. They deserve nothing from you. They deserve to hear your truth, the truth that you're finished, that they no longer matter, that you've shut the book and moved on. Stop creating thrones for people who see you as just an option. Stop giving them authority by remaining quiet. Stop letting them dictate the game, one that you were never supposed to win. You are done with silence, done with waiting, done with hoping. Say it out loud. I own my truth. Post it below. Announce it. Embrace your freedom and leave them with nothing as you saw. Number 2. Silence is a blessing in disguise. You believe your silence is a way to punish others. You withdraw, stop communicating and fade away, thinking this will make them feel pain. You imagine them restless at night, overwhelmed by old memories, filled with regret, missing your presence. You think your silence is a spell you cast to make them feel the loss. But they aren't suffering, they feel relieved. Your silence doesn't hurt them, it liberates them. It gives them the chance to forget you and move on without feeling guilty, while you remain caught up in your feelings, counting each day and replaying past conversations. They are out there enjoying life, unaffected and carefree, because your silence doesn't impact them. It actually helps them. They avoid facing the consequences of their actions. They don't have to confront your anger, your pain, or your questions. They can leave without any backlash. You hoped that cutting them off would fill them with the same emptiness you feel. But the truth is, they don't feel it. They don't miss you because they've never really missed anyone. Such people don't value what they don't care about. You think you've left a gap in their life, but you haven't. To them, You were just another person to use and move on from. They've already moved on, while you still believe your silence is a strong move. But here's the reality. They understand your silence. They've been through this before. To them, your silence is expected. It shows you're still attached, still waiting for them to reach out, still hoping they'll notice. They see your silence as proof of your loyalty. They think you're still there, thinking about them, missing them, waiting for that call or message that will never come. That's the actual game. Your silence comforts them, not punishes them. It's convenient for them. They don't have to face your emotions, your inquiries, or your heartache. You've removed yourself from their life. And here's the harsh truth. They rely on your silence. They know you're silent because you still care. They know you're withdrawing, but not completely letting go. They've seen it all before. You'll stay silent until you can't bear it anymore. Then you'll crack. You'll make contact. You'll come back trying to explain, hoping they'll see how much you cared. And when you finally break that silence, they'll pretend like nothing happened, as if you were the one who was distant, as if you were the one who walked away. They'll spin the story to their advantage, and you'll accept it because you've done it before. They understand how this all ends because they've gone through it many times. Do you think they're the ones hurting? Number. It's you. You're caught in the quiet world you made, while they have moved on without a second glance. They're not troubled by not having you around. Instead, they're strengthened by it. They know you're still there, waiting, hoping. And here's the truth. You handed them their freedom. Your silence was their ticket to freedom. You stepped back from their lives, but kept them in yours. You've locked yourself in an imaginary cage while they're out enjoying life, laughing, forgetting. You're the only one bearing the emotional load, but it doesn't have to stay this way. What if, instead of using silence as a punishment, you wielded the truth like a weapon? What if, instead of staying quiet, you made yourself too loud to ignore? Not by running after them or pleading for their attention, but by reclaiming your strength. You want true silence. Completely cut ties with them, not as a strategy, but as your decision. Vanish entirely, not to harm them, but to heal yourself. Quit playing the game they've perfected and rewrite the rules. Tell yourself the truth. They don't miss you. They're not thinking about you. They're not coming back. And you're still here, trapped in a silence that wasn't meant to cure you. The only way to win is to quit playing. Speak your truth, not to them, but to yourself. Say it loud. They don't care. They never did, and that's fine because now I care about myself. Let your silence be your calm, not their comfort. Stop giving them a gift they never earned. Stop keeping quiet for them. Your silence isn't a punishment when they feel nothing. It only punishes you. Say this loud. I won't stay quiet for someone who doesn't care. Write it down. Claim it. Own it. End the game. Let them ponder why you're truly gone. And this time, make sure not to return. Number 3. Keeping quiet keeps you involved. You might think being quiet is your way out. You assume that by staying quiet and fading into the background, you're somehow escaping. But the tough reality is, you're still right there. You haven't truly left. Silence doesn't set you free when you're still caught up in thoughts about them. It's not really moving on if you're still hoping they'll notice you. You've told yourself that your silence is a form of strength, that it's making them feel the loss of you. However, all your silence has really done is hold you captive. While you're quietly counting the days, checking your phone, and wondering if they even care, they are out there enjoying life, laughing, moving on. They may have even started playing these hurtful games with someone else, while you're stuck in the same spot. Your choice to remain silent hasn't made you invisible. It has kept you in the play. They are aware that you're still around, still emotionally tangled, still observing. They might not hear you speak, but they sense you're still there. And the longer you choose silence while clinging to the past, the more you remain a part of their life. You become like a ghost, haunting what used to be, quiet, unseen, yet still connected. They aren't troubled by your absence. You are. You are haunted by memories that won't fade, by conversations that were never had, by an ending that will never be. That's the real trick of staying silent. It fools you into believing you've moved on, yet it keeps you exactly where they left you. You're stuck in the same emotional loop, reliving old stories, imagining scenarios that are long gone. Think you're out of the game? Think again. You're still involved because you're still waiting for a message, a call, an apology, anything that might somehow mend what they broke. But here's the reality. They aren't likely to return. And if they do, it's not because they miss you. It's because they miss having control. They'll come back when they need a boost, when their ego needs attention, when their current situation crumbles, or when they need someone familiar to toy with. And if you're still there, quiet but hopeful, they'll know they can pull you back into the drama. Because staying silent isn't the same as cutting them off. It's merely pausing the action. It's leaving the door ajar, hoping they'll walk back in, when you should have firmly closed it. Silence really only works when you've walked away for good, not when you're still there, hoping they'll notice you're quiet, or checking if they even care. It's real when it's a sign you've moved on because you chose to. But if your quiet is just a tactic in their game, then you're still caught up in it. It's like hiding your eyes with your hands in a fire and pretending you're safe. You might think you're out of danger because you're standing still, but you're actually right in the middle of it. The fire will get you, whether you're quiet or loud. You might think you're affecting them by vanishing, but they're not even searching for you. You think you're being mysterious, but they know just where you are, trapped in yesterday, still hung up on them, still playing their game, just quietly. It's time to wake up. They're not coming back because they miss you or feel sorry. If they come back, it's because they know you'll be there waiting. They've got you hanging on. They've dropped just enough hints to keep you from really leaving. So, what are you actually waiting for? An apology? The truth? Some kind of explanation? It's not going to happen. They've moved on while you're stuck, looping in the same emotional rut, stopping you from moving on. You want to win. You want to really get free. Then quit the game. Not quietly, not with a scene, but totally. Let go. Stop playing. And stop thinking silence is your shield. It only ends up wounding you. Silence isn't truly freeing until it's from not caring anymore. Until you don't care if they notice or not. Until you're not waiting for anything from them. Let them be puzzled over what happened when the person they thought they could play with just walked away. No big announcements, no alerts, no justifications, just gone. You want to win? Stop playing. Say it loud. I'm done. Post it down below. Declare it. Own it. Walk away quietly, but fully. Because real silence isn't about them hearing nothing. It's about them not being able to control you ever again. Number 4. The power of telling your truth. You've been too quiet for too long, holding back your words, biting your tongue, and keeping in all you wanted to say, thinking that being silent was your strength. But let's clear this up. Silence isn't strength when it comes from fear. You might think that being quiet keeps things calm, avoids fights, and shows you're tough. But the truth is, staying silent doesn't protect you. It doesn't guard you. It doesn't make you safe. It traps you. It keeps you locked up with all the hurt you've not spoken, feelings you haven't shared, and questions you've never asked. You might believe that your silence makes you the better person, but actually, it's slowly hurting you inside. Because every word you keep inside feels like a heavy weight on your heart. Every emotion you hide becomes a wound that lasts even after the pain should have gone. You've been tricked into thinking silence is noble, that it's better to keep quiet than to share what's on your mind. But here's something important. Truth is chaotic. It's uncomfortable. It shakes things up and changes everything, but it's the only way you'll truly be free. Silence might dodge conflicts, but speaking the truth resolves them. Those who have hurt you, they rely on you staying quiet. They depend on you not speaking out, not standing up, not fighting back. They thrive in the darkness of what you don't say. Every word you hold back is another tool they use to keep you under control. But what if you spoke up? What if, instead of keeping quiet, you said what needed to be said? What if you spoke clearly, boldly, and truthfully? What if you let them hear everything they've been ignoring? Because the truth is, they're not scared of your silence. They fear your truth. Silence is something they can manage. They've got silence figured out. They can twist it, misinterpret it, and use it against you. But the truth is something they can't twist. There's a saying by Shannon L. Alder. Embracing the truth brings freedom, but only after it breaks apart the falsehoods you've relied on. That's exactly what needs to happen. You've lived with lies too long. The lie that they didn't mean to hurt you. The lie that they'll change if you just wait. The lie that your silence will make them miss you. It won't. They're not going to suddenly feel sorry for what they did just because you stayed quiet. People like them don't worry about how others feel. They worry when they lose control. That's why telling your truth is so important. Because when you speak, you take back the story. You take back the control they've had over your feelings, your thoughts, your life. Telling your truth doesn't mean you owe them an explanation. It doesn't mean you have to fight or argue. It just means you stop hiding. You stop acting like everything is okay. You stop giving them the pleasure of your silence. Because when you tell your truth, something amazing happens. You free yourself. You stop waiting for them to give you closure because you've given it to yourself. You stop wishing they'll understand because you don't need their understanding anymore. You stop carrying the burden of unsaid words because you've finally spoken them. Let's make one thing clear. Sharing your honest feelings isn't about others. It's not about getting back at them or making them feel bad. It's about you. It's about taking back your voice, your value, your identity. I once read a story on a forum about a man who kept quiet for years in a difficult marriage, hoping things would get better if he just didn't say anything. He avoided arguing, hid his emotions, and kept it all inside. But the more he kept quiet, the more his wife pushed him around. Eventually, he reached his limit. He sat her down and poured out his feelings, how he felt, what he needed, and what he couldn't stand anymore. Do you know what happened? She didn't change. She didn't say sorry. She didn't turn into the partner he needed. But something did change. Him. He said that speaking his truth was the most freeing experience he'd ever had. For the first time, he wasn't hiding. He wasn't faking. He wasn't scared. He ended the marriage, not because he despised her, but because he finally loved himself enough to leave. That's the real power of being truthful. It doesn't ensure the outcome you hope for, but it does bring you peace. When you share your truth, you reclaim the control they thought they had over you forever. You show them that your quietness wasn't a sign of weakness. It was just a break. And now, you're done taking breaks. So, stop holding back. Stop biting your tongue. Stop bearing the burden of the words you've been too scared to utter. Tell your truth, not for them, but for you. Because the moment you do, you stop being their target. You stop being their pawn. You stop being someone they thought they could push around. Say this aloud. Truth. Type it in the comments. Announce it. Own it. Let them be puzzled about what happens when the person they thought they had silenced finally speaks up. Because when you do, their control falls apart. And you rise unapologetically every single time. Number 5. Use words they'll always remember. You've always heard to cut ties and just move on. Leave without a fuss, silently, without leaving a trace. But sometimes that isn't enough. Some connections shouldn't just fade quietly. Some people need to feel the impact. They need to witness what occurs when someone they overlooked finally reveals their true thoughts. You've been quiet for too long. You've allowed them to dominate the story, to alter the past, and to escape without any harm. They left you to handle the burden of every falsehood, every deceit, on your own. They ensured you felt insignificant, neglected, disposable. But not this time. This time, you end things with words they will never forget. You confront them with the truth they chose to overlook. The reality they thought they'd never have to face, not for vengeance, but for your liberation. Because speaking your truth is not about harming them. It's about recovering your own identity. It's about ensuring nothing remains unsaid. Picture this. You're on that bridge, the one they constructed with dishonesty and unfulfilled promises, the one they used whenever they needed you, only to leave you behind, time and again. You've been standing on that bridge, hoping they would return with apologies, some explanation, anything. But they never came. And now you're finished with waiting. Strike the match. Share everything you've held back, each time they made you feel irrelevant. Every untruth they uttered while staring you straight in the eye. Every instance they pretended to be the victim while you suffered from the hurt they caused. They thought they could leave without facing any repercussions. They thought you would remain silent, compliant, predictable, but here's the reality. They will always remember. You were never weak. You were merely waiting until you were strong enough to say what needed to be said. End things clearly, not in anger. Be precise, not careless. Ensure your words are so impactful they resonate long after you're gone. They might think they were irreplaceable, essential to your happiness. Show them they're mistaken. Demonstrate that you're not the same person who once craved their attention. Show them you've moved beyond the games, the deceit, and the false promises. Tell them, you didn't break me. You set me free. Let your words be so clear and straightforward that they can't twist or ignore them. Let them face the reality they've avoided. You don't need them to close this chapter. You are the closure. I once read a story about a woman who kept quiet in a harmful relationship, believing that silence was the right approach. She never confronted him about his falsehoods or shared her true feelings, but eventually she reached her limit. She wrote him a letter, not to win him back or to hurt him, but to free herself. She wrote down everything she had silently endured, all the forgiveness, all the chances she gave him, all the nights she cried while he slept peacefully. She concluded the letter with, "I loved you enough to remain silent. Now I love myself enough to speak up." She never sent the letter, but it didn't matter. It was never about him. It was about her. She said everything she needed to and walked away without regrets. That's what it means to cut ties with words. It's not about seeking revenge. It's about letting go of burdens you've carried for too long. It's about expressing everything so you can finally move forward. Don't hold back because you're worried about their reaction. They are no longer important. Their opinions don't matter. This is not about making them feel bad. It's about setting yourself free. Speak clearly and truthfully, and once you've said your piece, leave. Let them deal with the reality you've presented while you rise above anything they thought possible. Say it loud, burn the bridge and never look back. Post it in the comments, own it, proclaim it. Let them wonder about the person they thought they could destroy. Because that person no longer exists. You've burned the bridge, and this time you're not looking back. Number 6. Their apology is just a trick, not a real ending. You've been waiting, right? You've been hoping for that one thing that will mend everything, their apology. You've imagined whole conversations in your mind, picturing them returning, confessing they were wrong, saying those magic words that would end your hurt. But here's the truth. Their apology isn't about giving you closure. It's about trapping you. You believe that hearing "I'm sorry" will bring peace, but it won't. It'll only bring more trouble. Because when someone like them says sorry, it's not to heal you. It's to keep controlling you. They say sorry when they feel you starting to escape, when they notice their hold on you is weakening, when they realize you're beginning to see through their games. Their apology isn't about regret. It's a tactic. These people don't care about fixing things. They care about keeping you around. When you start to move away, when you begin to pull back, when your silence gets loud, that's when they return, pretending to be sincere just to stop you from really leaving. They'll say just what you've been longing to hear, not because they mean it, but because they know it's effective. They've done this before, saying sorry just enough to reset everything, giving just enough to make you doubt everything again. "I'm sorry, I didn't realize I hurt you. I miss you. Can we talk? I've changed. You're the only one I care about." Does this sound familiar? It should, because it's all rehearsed. They've practiced these lines over and over. They know just when to use them, when they see you getting stronger, when they notice you moving on, when they feel you've had enough. Their apology is a lure. You think it's giving you closure, but it's actually pulling you back in, like a fish on a line, flailing, struggling, but still caught. They know you're desperate for an explanation, for validation, for anything that will make sense of the past. And they offer it just when you're about to break free. But here's the tough reality. Closure won't come from them. It never has, and it never will. Closure comes from you, from finally understanding the truth, that their apology was never about mending what they broke. It was about maintaining their control. Want evidence? Recall the last time they apologized. Did they change? Did their actions get better? Did they turn into the person you needed them to be? Or did they just fall back into the same harmful patterns once they knew they had you back? Their apologies are just quick fixes for deep wounds. They patch up the harm just enough so you don't notice the pain, but deep down, nothing gets better. They'll say anything to stay in your life. They'll cry, plead, and even pretend to be the victim just to keep you hooked. It's not genuine regret. It's just a tactic to control you. Here's something they'll never confess. They aren't afraid of losing you. They're scared of losing their grip on you. Once you're really gone, they lose what they crave. The attention, the forgiveness, the comfort you provide. That's the reason they come back. Their apology isn't about helping you heal. It's about them maintaining their advantage. But what if this time they really mean it? You might wonder, what if they've truly changed this time? Pay attention to this. People don't change after a short break. Real change happens when they face real consequences, when they're truly held responsible, not just forgiven. Every time they weep, remember, you can't get better just waiting for someone else to fix things. You can't grow while holding out hope for someone else to turn over a new leaf. Their sorry doesn't give you the green light to heal. You don't need their words to start healing. You think their apology brings closure, but really, it just reopens the old hurts. And deep down, you've always known this. You've been through this before, heard the same promises, felt the same fleeting hope, only to be let down again and again. You've wandered through this emotional wasteland too many times, hoping for a new outcome, only to realize nothing changes when their apologies are empty. Closure isn't something they hand to you. It's something you create for yourself. It happens when you stop expecting them to change, when you stop waiting for the meaningful apology, and begin living as though you don't need it, because you really don't. Stop waiting for them to say, "I'm sorry." Stop hoping they'll mend what they never truly cared about. Stop holding your breath for words that won't change anything. You don't need their apology. You need your own approval to move forward. You need to free yourself from their hold on your heart and end this chapter on your own terms. Say this out loud: "I'll heal on my own." Type it in the comments. Declare it. Own it. Let them wonder why their words no longer affect you, because you finally stopped listening. Number 7. The best revenge is making a strong comeback. They thought they had beaten you. They were sure you'd stay down, quiet, broken, and defeated. They believed you'd never stand up again because they rely on breaking people for good. They rely on you being stuck, tormented by memories, overwhelmed by sorrow, lost in the ruins they created around you. But here's the reality: they weren't ready for you. You're made for comebacks. They expected you to be a warning, a tale of someone who was used, thrown away, and forgotten. They didn't foresee you turning into the hero of your own life. They thought their betrayal, their lies, and their absence would destroy you. They couldn't imagine that the same hurt they caused would fuel your most significant change. They underrated you because you're more than a survivor. You're a fighter. And nothing scares them more than seeing the person they tried to break come out stronger, smarter, and completely beyond their control. You see, they can deal with your anger. They can handle your bitterness. They can even handle your silence. But they can't deal with your return. They can't stand seeing you succeed without them. They can't bear knowing they have no hold over your feelings, your thoughts, your life. Because your victory is their defeat. Every time you laugh, every achievement, every rise, you prove them wrong. You show that they couldn't break you. Here's the thing: nothing is more impactful than not caring anymore. When you stop caring, when you look ahead, when you no longer seek their approval, you become unstoppable. The moment they see that you're not just getting by, but flourishing, that's when they've lost. You were expected to fall apart. You were supposed to be the one looking for answers, waiting for apologies, trapped in the past. But now, you're out of their reach. You've grown past the story they wrote for you. They thought they were the end, but you changed the conclusion. There's a saying by Nikita Gill: "Some people will attempt to scorch you, tear you down, and bury you, but they overlook the fact that you are a seed ready to grow." Think about that. They buried you thinking you were finished. They didn't know you were just beginning to grow. They didn't see the growth happening in the darkness. They didn't expect you to break through the soil with unstoppable energy. And when you rise, rise loudly, rise without apology, rise like they never existed. They can handle being disliked. They can handle being cursed, blocked, ignored. But your success, your brightness, your joy, that's what they can't stand. People like them crave control. They thrive on the thought that they impacted you. They want to think you'd never be the same without them. They want to believe they left lasting marks. Scars aren't signs of losing. They show you've endured. When you thrive despite those scars, when you achieve what they thought impossible, that's your real victory. They'll hear of your achievements. They'll notice your radiance. They'll watch from afar as you transform into someone beyond their grasp. That's when they realize they've lost, not because you retaliated, but because you let go of someone who wasn't worth your time. You moved forward. You grew without them. And you might wonder, what if they try to return when they see me doing well? Let them. By that time, they won't even recognize who you've become. You won't be the gentle soul they once thought they could control. You'll be unreachable. They might attempt their old tricks, their apologies, their pretended kindness. But it won't affect you. You've surpassed those old games. You no longer wait for them to change. You don't hope anymore that they'll appreciate your value. You've become someone unattainable, someone they can't toy with or even approach. They thought leaving you behind would trap you, but you forged a new path, a life without them. Keep this in mind. The best revenge isn't getting even. It's transforming into someone they can't affect. Every achievement, every joyful moment, every step you take builds this new you. They'll miss the pain, the yearning, and the focus you once gave them, and they'll see that you didn't just move on, you ascended. And when they return, because they often do, they won't find the person they abandoned. Instead, they'll meet someone tougher, smarter, and totally out of reach. Say out loud, I will become unrecognizable. Type it in the comments. Say it proudly. Make them wonder what happened to the person they thought they could break. Because you're not that person anymore. Keep rising and never look back. Number 8. Reclaiming your narrative is your ultimate power. You think your story is set, carved by their actions and words, shaped by their betrayals and lies. But here's a truth they can't take away. You are the author of your life, not them. Every time you choose silence, you let them hold the pen. But what if you grabbed it back? What if you started rewriting the chapters they thought they had sealed? Reclaiming your narrative isn't about changing the past. It's about owning the present and directing the future. It's deciding that their version of the story won't define you anymore. You have the power to redefine what strength looks like, to show that healing isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Start by telling your story your way, not with bitterness or sadness, but with the clarity and strength of someone who's survived. Share your journey, not as a tale of victimhood, but as a saga of resilience. Let them see that every time they thought they wrote you off, you were actually writing your comeback. And remember, this isn't just about them hearing your story. It's about you living it. Every day you rise, every decision you make, every joy you embrace, writes a narrative of triumph. This is how you reclaim your life. Not by erasing the past, but by overcoming it so completely that it becomes just a footnote in your epic. Number 9. Your joy is a rebellion they can't suppress. They expect you to be broken, to be solemn, to be shadowed by the pain they left behind. But what if your greatest defiance came through your joy? What if the brightest revenge was found not in echoing their darkness, but in living so vibrantly, so joyously, that their shadows couldn't touch you? Embrace joy like it's your right, because it is. Find laughter that rings louder than any words they threw your way. Seek out moments so sweet that they wash away the bitterness they left. This isn't just about being happy, it's an act of rebellion. It's showing that they didn't take your capacity to love life, to find happiness, to thrive, despite their efforts to drag you down. Your joy tells a story they don't want to hear, one where they're irrelevant, where their actions couldn't stifle the incredible light you bring to the world. Live loudly, laugh openly, and let your happiness echo as the ultimate proof that you've not just survived but thrived. By living your truth and embracing joy, you don't just escape their narrative, you shatter it. Let them see that the person they underestimated is now the one they can't control, can't predict, and most importantly, can't overshadow. Rise above their expectations and let your life's brilliance be the story that defines you. Listen up, everyone. Here's the raw truth. No sugarcoating, no excuses, no apologies. You've been tricked, manipulated, pushed aside. But your story doesn't end there. You are not their victim. You are not their unfinished story. You are not their backup plan. They thought they could shatter you. They expected you to remain silent, weak, forgotten. But now you know better. You've seen through their lies, their tricks, their mind games. You've woken up. You don't need their sorry excuses. You don't need closure. You don't need them at all. All you've ever needed is yourself. Let them wonder about what happened. Let them miss your attention. Let them deal with the reality they've made while you climb higher than they ever thought possible. You're done explaining, done following, done waiting. Now you're ending the game. No more quiet suffering. No more waiting for words that won't come. Say this out loud. Nothing can stop me. Type it in the comments. Declare it. Claim it. Let them wonder what happened to the person they thought they could control. Thanks for watching till the end. Your continued support is appreciated. If you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Until next time.